everybody be seated before I invite the Imam to recite, and then chair of All-Party Parliamentary Group TPG, Hayward, who is here to welcome you all. Can I first of all invite Imam Samir Darwish from Al-Manar Mosque to recite to start the meeting.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. قل الحمد لله وسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى الله خير أما يشركون أمن خلق السماوات والأرض وأنزل لكم من السماء ماء فأنبتنا به حدائق ذات بهجة ما كان لكم أن تنبتوا شجرها أإله مع الله بل هم قوم يعدلون أمن جعل الأرض قرارا وجعل خلالها أنهارا وجعل لها رواسي وجعل بين البحرين حاجزا أإله مع الله بل أكثرهم لا يعلمون أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء ويجعلكم خلفاء الأرض أإله مع الله قليلا ما تذكرون أمن يهديكم في ظلمات البر والبحر ومن يرسل الرياح بشرا بين يدي رحمته أإله مع الله تعالى الله عما يشركون أمن يبدأ الخلق ثم يعيده ومن يرزقكم من السماء والأرض أإله مع الله قل هاتوا برهانكم إن كنتم صادقين قل لا يعلم من في السماوات والأرض الغيب إلا الله وما يشعرون أيان يبعثون بل ادارك علمهم في الآخرة بل هم في شك منها بل هم منها عمون.
Thank you very much for that. Good evening everyone. My name is Dave Anderson. I'm the chairman of the All-Party Parliamentary Group on Third World Solidarity, Member of Parliament for Blaydon, who's in the North East of England. The strapline for this group is to support and promote human rights, peace and justice through dialogue and debate. We've been meeting in this house for 6 years and we've had many issues discussed, both consensual and also quite conflictual. We always run the meetings in terms of this is about we as parliamentarians giving people, particularly in the developed world, a chance to come to what is the mother of democracy and have their say in a way that promotes proper dialogue. We do, however, have to abide by the rules of this place, because if we don't, we won't be able to use it anymore. And one of those rules is that you can't actually buy things like books. So while this is a discussion on this very, very welcome book, it is not in any sense a book launch. And as well as that, I must say, and I hope that the cameraman are being briefed on this, that you're not allowed to use the images from this, particularly on live things like YouTube, because if you do, the people who have the broadcasting rights in this building will be on my back like a ton of bricks. And the last thing I want to do in promoting this meeting tonight is put at risk future meetings of this kind. So I hope people are very, very clear on that before we start. I'm sorry to start on a negative, but they're not my rules, they're the rules of this place. I'm very, very pleased to welcome Kristiane here tonight and the other people who are going to make a contribution. I do have to leave about 6:50 because we'll be voting quite soon. But my colleague, wherever he is, Mushtaq, Lasharie, will effectively host the meeting, but we ain't to listen to the people who speak. I just want to read through a short note that I have people from the road just flicking through it. And those of you much more experienced than myself will probably know these words, but I understand it from Boyle Shah. And he writes this: "You've learned so much and read 1,000 books. Have you ever read yourself? You've gone to the mosque and the temple. Have you ever visited your soul? You're busy fighting Satan. Have you ever fought your ill intentions? You've reached into the skies, but you fail to reach what is in your heart." I hope that what we hear tonight will give all of us an incentive to do exactly what those few words say. And in fact, I'd like to introduce Kristiane to start the debate. And if Mushtaq wants to come sit here, I'll go and sit there.
Very much.
I'll take you home with this. Thank you.
Well, most compassionate. I welcome you all. Thank you so much for turning out, lords and ladies, gentlemen, friends, brothers and sisters. It's wonderful to see you all here to celebrate my book, From MTV to MECCA, which has finally come out after all these years in English. Can't tell you how happy I am to be here with you. Just a huge thank you to my favorite Quran reciter, Hasan, who actually I became sort of addicted to in Ramadan last year. And some of you in the audience recognize his voice, because I got my friends to come along, and then we all came to the mosque all the time for Tarawih prayer. And he never resides outside the mosque, so this is a huge blessing. Thank you very much for that, and for those enlightening words. And the MP just recited. In fact, he stole my lines because I was going to recite the same later on.
Sorry, we do.
Never mind. Hear it again. As some of you know, it was a very difficult birth, actually, this book. I went to London Book Fair twice. I went to the Frankfurt Book Fair. Wrote to so many agents and publishers, but nobody wanted it. I read nothing but rejections. Then last October, I went to Frankfurt Book Fair again, trotting through 8 halls on 3 floors, and finally exhausted the last stand in the English hall on my way out. I was hesitantly walking past, and a gentleman came up to me and said, "What are you looking for?" And I said, "Oh, you don't happen to do memoirs, do you?" I said, "Yes, of course we do. Please, come on in." And this was Andrew Hayward sitting to my left here. And he's turned out he not only had a soft spot for Sharif women, but he also loves God. He's the son of a vicar. And we connected instantly, and ended up chatting for nearly 2 hours. And he was immediately very enthusiastic, even though obviously I tell about my way to God through Islam and not through Christianity, but we connected on the spiritual level, and that was essential. And anyway, and then he phoned me, or he emailed me from Frankfurt Book Fair, which he never did. 2 days later, he said, never in his 50 years of being in the book trade, or however long he could be, never emailed anybody from the book fair, but he did, and it was so touching, and you know, it just happened from there. And Andy made sure that it was published by Arcadia. Gary is here. And Hasan from Awakening came on board. He was on board all along, in fact, but I always said I wanted a mainstream publisher to have a chance of crossing over. So in the end, we all came together, also thanks to the wonderful support of Ferd, who, when they heard about my book project, also were immediately excited and said we're going to promote it amongst all our networks internationally. And so it's really been such a blessing. In fact, also thanks to Midas, thanks to Tony Mulligan. When I made an appointment with him before he even knew I had a publisher, he was immediately on board, because we have some very interesting friends in common, it happens to be. And he had a very good impression about Islam through those friends, and so he was switched on immediately. And it's been such a blessing, and really thanks to the help of also a vast amount of unnamed angels. Some of you are sitting here in the room, and my friends, that this finally sees the light of day. And thank you all for being with me and on my arduous journey, and for now being here to celebrate. But why did I have this burning desire to publish this book? Despite all these challenges, you may wonder, why didn't I give up a long time ago? Well, actually, because of what happened when I became a Muslim in 1995. At the time, I was an award-winning presenter on MTV Europe, and I had my own show in Germany, interviewing rock stars for a living, sort of a dream job, you could say. When we were celebrating the 100th episode of my show in Germany, all the important people flew in, and I was praised, and we were celebrating. It was a big deal. The press turned up, and one journalist who had done his research really well asked, "So have you already converted for your boyfriend?" This is a startling question, because I'd never said I had a boyfriend. I was always saying I was single, and in fact I was going out with Imran Khan at the time. But in his religion, it's not allowed to go out with anybody. It's either marriage or nothing. So I respected that, and never mentioned it. So anyway, I said to him, "No, but I'm a Muslim at heart." And this innocuous little comment practically finished my entertainment career. It did. Soon after, a very negative press campaign followed against me. Has she lost the plot? Is she now presenting her youth show from behind the veil? Is she supporting terrorism? And I had a brand new, freshly signed contract to do my youth show for another year, and suddenly I was sacked. They didn't remember this contract, and I tried, but couldn't do anything about it. The lawyers here in the audience saying, "Well, I wish you'd spoken to me." But, so that's what happened at the time, and it was quite shocking, obviously. At the time, in fact, it was during these tumultuous times I also became a Muslim. I went to see a doctor. The doctor was recommended to me to cope with all the stress and everything. She's in the inner circle here, my dear friend in faith, and she then guided me to the North London Mosque, where I ended up converting. And it was really the friends in the mosque, the Sufis, the Muslims, who helped me to see the events from a spiritual perspective, to realize suffering is not all that bad. There's also some blessings in it, a purification, this and that, and they really helped me to see it all through. But I also realized how bad Islamophobia actually is, especially in Germany, on the continent, in fact. Not quite so bad here, but it was something I had absolutely no idea about. And remember, this was way before 9/11 or 7/7. It was in 1995. And obviously this hostility towards Muslims only increased through those events. Now, as a communicator, as a journalist, I was itching to speak out. I wanted to make my contribution and tell everybody about this beautiful faith that I found, that is so different to what we read about and hear about in the media. But I was constantly advised by my agents at the time to keep stum about Islam if I ever wanted to work again in Germany. So I listened to their advice, because everybody needs to work. And you know, and what I did was I actually spent the time deepening my faith, studying, learning, searching for teachers, and you know, and then 10 years later, in fact, when I went on Hajj, on the big pilgrimage to Mecca with my dear friend Dr. Coxon, it was reported very positively in the press suddenly in Germany. Unbelievable, you know, and so many articles followed, and then a book agent contacted me. Would you like to write your story in a book? So that's how the German book came about, and you know, so only 2 years ago, I mean, only really in the last few years, I've been more active, you know, in fact, since the German book came out, talking about Islam in the media, and, you know, trying to do my little bit, because after all, if an MTV presenter can become a Muslim, it can't be all that bad. So I thought, you know, now I'll try and make my contribution in the media as the voice of a European woman who's found Islam for good reasons and not for marriage. And, you know, through the book, I also wanted to address, you know, the wider issues about the marginalization of faith in our society, in our secular society. You know, how religion and the sacred are just sort of brushed away, and you're almost regarded as you know, not quite with it if you believe in God, and you know, versus on the other hand the positive role faith can play, no matter what faith. But you know, how you can combat depression, how you can transform yourself, how you resist peer pressure, all sorts of positive you know, influences that faith actually has in dealing with all the challenges that life throws at you. So as part of my work, I became the ambassador of the Exploring Islam Foundation, headed by Sharif, Hasan, Bana. And we had this Inspired by Muhammad campaign out in the media 2 years ago, where posters with different slogans inspired by Muhammad were seen in buses and tubes and taxis. My slogan was, I believe in protecting the environment, so did Muhammad. And this caused actually a bit of a stir in the media, and it was really great, you know, to be able to talk about something positive. Normally the media doesn't like to feature good news, but that was one time they did, and that was very refreshing. So, and right now actually I'm working on developing my own TV show on the back of this book called MTV to MECCA, so hopefully that will work out. Our producer is also sitting in the audience. Inshallah, God willing, need your prayers. I'd like to be back on TV, but I still can't. Now, in my book, From MTV to MECCA, I try to take the reader by the hand as I slowly begin to dissolve my own prejudices against Islam, which of course I had. I thought it's bad to women, it's, you know, an antiquated faith. In fact, I knew nothing really about it. And so, you know, taking the reader by the hand, also as I discover the beautiful values and also begin to actualize them, in fact, while even working on MTV already, wearing long clothes and, you know, having a different approach to life. Now, if someone told me at the height of my career in 1992 that I would become a practicing Muslim soon, I would have thought they must be crazy. I was really so far away from the life of a, you know, practicing Muslim. But God works in mysterious ways, that's all I can say. And he knew what he was doing. He introduced me to Islam through none other, not through a long-bearded imam, but through a handsome sports superstar, Imran Khan. An unlikely Islam teacher, you may think, but he was the one who introduced Islam to me. It's a fact. He didn't ram down religious rulings you know, down my throat, but he taught philosophy. And I always liked philosophy. So, you know, we just debated so many issues. In fact, he had just won the World Cup for Pakistan at the time, in 1992, and was about to give it all up to build a charitable hospital. I had no idea. Oh, I didn't know who he was. I didn't know anything about cricket, and he didn't know anything about music either. He wasn't watching MTV or anything. So it was quite interesting. He had a very different approach to life, different value system, and he challenged me with his views that were faith-inspired. You know, we on my first date, for example, I arrived in an Alaya mini dress, and he asked me if I could keep on my coat all night, because in his culture, women don't show flesh, men don't either, everybody dresses modestly. So, okay, I did, it pertains so much to him. And, you know, our motto was, if you've got it, flaunt it. And so it was very different, you know, and I was learning the meaning of modesty and what that entails. And slowly I began changing my own style. And, you know, we touched, but really what touched me most, I mean, yeah, one was this different opinion we had on everything. Like, for example, the film Basic Instinct. Was everybody else at the dinner table was raving about, you know, the provocative scenes in it, but he said in our culture this shouldn't belong in the public domain. You know, it's about modesty and so on. You know, so it was a challenge. It was interesting. But what touched me most was that Imran wanted to give up his career to build a cancer hospital in Lahore, where the poor people would be treated for free. And, you know, and he had an army of volunteers helping him to achieve his task. And I saw him working day and night, you know, with people from around the world, collecting, I think, $20 million, however much it was. You know, and everybody was donating their time, their energy, and their resources for this higher cause, really to please God at the end of the day. And believe in God and do good deeds is the essence of being a Muslim, he said. And, you know, and, so that touched me really, and what made me think. He also talked to me about spirituality, about the fact that there was this other dimension to life, you know, beyond the material world. The unseen actually was something that had always fascinated me, even before when I was a radio presenter. I did reports on witchcraft and on the occult, people who use Ouija boards. And you know, I had a fascination. I was interviewing the Institute of Paranormal Studies, but you know, but it was all very unfocused. But there was this interest, you know, there. So when he talked to me about the soul, that we all have a soul, that it needs nourishment like the body, I hadn't even noticed I had a soul up until then, you know. And but I was interested, I guess, you know, part of a sign of this neglect that, you know, I had ignored as part of my life altogether was the fact that despite my dream job, you know, interviewing rock stars on MTV, doing all these shows, going to every party and everything, I wasn't entirely fulfilled. And not only that, I even had various big crises, you know, and I think it was because that spiritual dimension was totally missing in my life. So, you know, because at those times, during those days, when, you know, I felt down, I would go shopping, retail therapy. But of course, the joy you get from a new handbag or a new pair of shoes doesn't last. So, it's all temporary. So, you know, our discussions made me think. And in fact, they were a bit like a wake-up call. Imran gave me books to read on Islam, which, to my surprise, captivated me. Again, they were philosophical. You know, what I was reading made sense. You know, the doctrines, there's one God, He's the source of everything, He's our destiny, you know, we're responsible for our own actions, etc. And I also, to my surprise, discovered a lot of commonalities with Christianity. I had no idea that Jesus is a prophet of Islam. Moses, you know, Mary is revered in Islam. I just didn't know it. It wasn't taught in our school. You know, so obviously I had a lot of questions, and especially about also the situation of women in Islam, and the endless debates, as you can imagine. And then Imran invited me to travel with him to Pakistan. Not actually a tourist destination, but certainly an adventure, I thought. Having no idea what, you know, monumental consequences this trip would have. And my first trip there was an incredible journey, and one that left me with unforgettable memories. I trekked through awe-inspiring snow-capped mountains, slept beneath the stars, and spent time with simple people who made a greater impression on me than most people, or a lot of the people in the entertainment business I met, with their warmth and their generosity, and above all, with their faith in God. you know, for the first time in my life, actually, I also discovered how much fun you can have without alcohol. And very subconsciously I paid attention how I was treated as a Western woman in this country. And I must say, everybody, without question, treated me with respect and addressed me as sister, you know. No passes that were out of place, you know, like all the time in the entertainment business. It was, you know, I really liked that. In fact, I really was courteous and polite and so on, and respectful. We went on some amazing trekking trips in the Karakura Mountains, where we passed Gilgit, the northernmost outpost of the British, Hunza, where the famous anti-aging acorns come from, and as we climbed higher up the mountains, we came across very basic two-story houses made from a mixture of mud and wood. The mountain people here live on the first floor, while the animals are kept down below, and their body heat works as a natural heating system. So the rising, you know, body heat helps to keep the people warm. They didn't have anything, electricity, water, or you know, satellite dishes. So actually, they were rich in faith, but had very little material possessions. And I must say, seeing that kind of poverty in someone's life.
That's all right. It is a vote. That's why I'm here. It is not for us. You can carry on. It will rank for 30 seconds and Ian come back for 10 seconds. Carry on if you like.
You know, I mean, seeing for the first time this kind of poverty made me sad. You know, I've never seen such a thing before, and surprisingly, despite that, when we walked into the villages, they offered us whatever they had. Their walnuts, their apricots, with Bismillah, you know, in the name of God, which I discovered later is said in front of every Christian Muslim undertakes, whether it's giving a speech or, you know, starting a car or sending an email. You know, it's important to say Bismillah in the name of God. We eat in the name of God. So actually, I was very moved. I was very moved by the dignity of these people that I encountered there, and you know, in spite of their dire poverty. 10 seconds. Can you hear me? So anywhere we stopped the car, Imran was surrounded by a crowd of people. Everybody came up and eagerly pressed a few rupees into his hands. You know, this is for the hospital. You know, and he would always keep it separately. This is money for the hospital. And he used to say, it's the poor people who build this hospital, not the rich. You know, and he was so touched by that enthusiasm of those people, and so was I. You know, and really, it was compassion and action that I learned in Pakistan in many, many different ways, which you can read about in my book. My frequent travels to this beautiful country affected me deeply. I know that has such a bad rep, just like Islam, but it actually is a very beautiful country. And I was very deeply affected. And I was and anyway, yes, I began to question, reevaluate everything. I began to question, you know, the entertainment life I was in, etc. Started thinking about what is the purpose of life? Why am I actually here? You know, try to figure it all out. And I must say, since my introduction to Muslim culture to the East, something had caught fire in me, and it slowly grew. And also admiring the beautiful architecture in Lahore, for example, the Badshai Mosque, this amazing mosque, and in fact, later on, other beautiful monuments. I realized something great must be behind this. I still love Islamic architecture and all its different expressions, from the geometrical patterns in Morocco to the more flowery Turkish, Iranian and Mughal examples. Despite the differences in appearance, it is the same light that shines forth from all these great works of art, as my teacher, Dr. Martin Lings, Sheikh Bakr Sirajuddin, I'm greatly indebted to, wrote in a precious little book, What is Sufism? This was the last book I read before converting. Apart from the striking aesthetics of Islamic art, it's actually said, by the way, to be a mirror of the unseen. I was also drawn to the Qawwali music that Imran used to play. Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan, a wonderful singer, and you know, he, in fact, Peter Gabriel said of him, he was his greatest singing inspiration. And you know, when Imran translated the songs, they touched me deeper, these lyrics, than any pop song I heard on MTV. Now, the Qawwals, as they're called, sing ancient Sufi poetry. Sufism is the heart of Islam, the inner dimension, the spirituality. And often these songs talk about love, love for the beloved, which then turns into love for the ultimate beloved, love for God. And those sheikhs, you know, often have lived, say, 500 years ago, and people still sing those songs, so everybody knows them. And now Bulleh Shah, who we already heard, I may just recite again, lived 500 years later. And because his poem, which the MP stole from my book, please read something, it really expresses my, you know, my spiritual awakening at the time. So he has a different translation, actually, from Arabic. You've read so many books to know it all, yet you fail to read your heart at all. You rush to holy shrines to play a part. Would you dare enter the shrine of your heart? You're quick to attack the evil one, yet pride is a battle you have not won. You grab for a star you can control, yet you fail to grasp the light in your soul. May we all find ways to grasp the light in our souls. This is really what I wish, and I hope my new book will be a little inspiration just for that. That would make me happy. Now, this kind of poetry, the music, the arts, my readings and encounters with sweet people I met opened my heart to the culture and the religion of Islam. After 3 years of research, I realized if I wanted to taste any of the fruits I was reading about and feel, you know, religion and bring God into my life, there was only one way: get a prayer mat and start practicing. So that really was, you know, the start when I converted in 1995, and my decision to convert was spiritual. And it is this inner dimension, the Islam of the heart, that I continue to explore and also write about in my book, along with many of the challenges that life threw at me and how faith pulled me through, and of course many adventures around the Muslim world. Thank you very much. I'd like to ask Andrew Hayward, who you already know who he is. Everybody in the book trade knows who Andy Hayward is. He is the ex-commercial director of Constable & Robinson. He's also worked for Penguin and is now literary advisor to Ether Books and to our book, and the publisher of Instant Guides, obviously with great passion for God. Please, Andrew Hayward.
I will be very brief. First of all, I want to say thank you to Kristiane for actually writing the book. But secondly, I want to say thank you to Fer for fundamentally doing all the work, and particularly dear old Arif over there, who is an absolute Trojan. As Kristiane says, I met her in Frankfurt, and I was very moved and very impressed by her story. But I said, if you're saying that Islam is the only way, I can't help you. I wish you well, but I can't help you. But if you're saying Islam is my way to go, but I'm still talking to people of other faiths and my heart's still open to what they have to say as well, then you have a game. She said, you have a game. For me, interfaith dialogue in the 21st century is absolutely crucial. And I'll finish this a little bit with a story in a minute about why it is so crucial. I actually became a Christian when I was 21, and my father, the wonderful Reverend Alan Hayward, the singing clergyman of Suffolk, said 3 things. 1, Kristiane refers to it in her book. 1, love. Love is absolutely fundamental. Love one another. But as my father said, it's actually a bit more subtle than that. It's actually about selfless love. It's about sacrificial love. That is the way you start to grow spiritually. Secondly, tolerate difference. More than that, celebrate diversity. I'm a fantastic bloke, I really am. Mulligan will tell you that. But if the world was full of Andrew James, William Boyd Haywards, it would be so boring, as I knows and Kristiane knows. So celebrate diversity, learn from one another. And the third thing is a wonderful mantra. We are all equal before God. Yesterday morning at 9 o'clock, I walked past the McDonald's, and this family came out wearing shell suits, the father smoking, they had their burgers and chips. And I thought, well, you know what I thought. But then I thought, we're all equal before God. It's very humbling. All the great faiths of the world act as gatekeepers, as gatehouses to those speaking spirituality and faith and an essence of the divine. But all the great religions of the world, they've all been guilty of it. At times, they build walls from the gatehouse, and they go out, and they go around, and they encircle themselves. And they're in a ghetto. And when they're in the ghetto, they close their hearts, they close their minds. Worse, they're hostile to people on the other side of the wall. They're actually arrogant to other people on the other side of the wall. They say, we don't need you. We're better than you are. We can't learn anything from you. We are the ones who are important. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't care what faith you are, whether you're Muslim, Christian, Jew, or whatever. If you actually are lucky enough to have a faith, then surely opens your hearts and your minds. And to the people who live in their self-imposed religious ghettos, I say, your God is too small. You demean the divine. Jesus said in the New Testament, by their fruits ye shall know them. By their fruits ye shall know them. Talking about spiritual people. And the fruits are the gifts of graciousness and gracefulness and love and forbearance. What a wonderful word that is, isn't it? Forbearance. And a wonderful depth that a lot of us don't have. Because of my father and my family, I've been privileged in my life to meet a lot of very spiritual people, of all faiths. And I've never ever failed to come away without having my life enhanced and improved by that meeting. It seems to me that at the moment we're living in a time when there's an ineluctable erosion of spiritual values in our community and a creeping secularization of our society. As a 60-year-old, it sometimes rather discombobulates me when I talk to an educated 20-year-old person or person in their 20s, and I make a reference to a story in the Bible about the loaves and the fishes, or Daniel in the lion's den, and they look at me and they don't know what I'm talking about. The whole generation. In a generation we've lost what the Bible says. And yet, even if you don't believe in God, the holy books actually really help us to live more fulfilled and more helpful lives. And it's times like that, and this, that we in the faith community should come together and proclaim our views and promote our values and make sure that we're in the center of the debate about the way that society is going and the way that society is evolving. We have a voice. Rabbi Jonathan Sacks said, we should rejoice in the interfaith community. We should rejoice at all those things we hold together, all the things that bind us together, that unite us. Because there's so much. And stop bickering about what divides us. I said at the beginning, I'll tell you a story why interfaith is very important and why I'm very honoured to be speaking here with Kristiane and have met all my new Muslim friends. It's been great. 2 weeks ago in Berlin, of all places, a rabbi got beaten up by three, as they said in the papers, 3 young Arab lads. At the weekend, there was a demonstration outside the synagogue in Orienbergstrasse. And if any of you ever go to Berlin, go to Orienbergstrasse because there's some great restaurants down there. But anyway, the demonstration was there, and after it, the rabbi said, they can break my cheekbones, but they can't break my will to stop talking to other people of other faiths and to continue in the interfaith dialogue. He suffered because he was talking to Muslims. We must not let those with little minds and small gods hinder us from all learning together about what the divine really is. One final point. Ian West, the paper sales director, is here. Paul Blake is probably sitting there thinking I'm going to be named and shamed by Hayward in the Houses of Parliament. Not at all. He'll be named and proclaimed because I'm very grateful to him and to his team for what they have done in selling the book here. But it's incredibly difficult times at the moment selling the books into the publishing trade. Read my article in The Spectator in about 3 weeks' time, I hope, because everything has changed. Very, very difficult. Behoves us, more than ever, therefore, to go out and sell this book on behalf of Kristiane, and not just sell it in the crass commercial sense. I certainly want Ferd to get their money back, and I want Kristiane to get some money. But it's not that. It's because of what I saw in Kristiane when we were talking. This book is important for all of us, but it's actually very important for the Muslim community in Northern Europe living in the 21st century. That is why it's important. And I want you to go out and start talking about the book. We all know the best way of selling a book is word of mouth. Start the book. All your micro conversations with your friends and your colleagues, hopefully, will become macro conversations on the television and the radio. And we will really all be able to grow from this and actually learn from it as well. Kristiane, I said 3.5 minutes. It's 3.5 minutes on the dot, darling. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.
So wonderful to have you on the team. Such a supporter, such an angel. It's such a, and I subscribe to everything you say. That's always the beauty with us. And now over to one of the protagonists in my book, my dear friend and sister in faith, partner in crime. We've been on some amazing spiritual adventures together, from 3 a.m. dhikr sessions in Damascus at certain holy places, and to the Hajj, the great big pilgrimage to Mecca. She's a high street consultant and a neurologist, and my dear friend, over to Dr. Ann Coxon now, please.
Listening to the Imam's recitation, I reacted as I always do, which is that I want to give everything up, go to a cave with my CDs, just listen to the Quran and pray. But Islam, as with other religions, believes laborare estorare. You must continue to contribute because we are vectors of the purpose of the Creator of this earth, and we must give our talent back. I ask, when I don't get the right answer from one imam, I ask another, and then another, and then another, and now I've given up. I say, I've got enough money, I'm seriously old, please can I give up work? They say, what do you do? I say, I'm a doctor. They say, no, you have no permission. So I'm still working as a neurologist in a very full-time practice at the advanced age of 71. So please don't come see me, I'm too old. In the summer, people coming to see me with headaches and various things found me in a very excited state. I said, they've got it, they've got it, they've got the Higgs boson. I said, what are you talking about? Anyone in religion cannot do other than wonder at the creation of the universe. And the fact that we are beginning with our technology, I went to CERN twice last year, we're beginning with our technology to explore the dimension. It is awesome. And the wonder of it never ceases to amaze. Sir Martin Rees last year was honoured with £1 million worth of the Templeton Prize for Religion. Sir Martin Rees, in case some of you don't know, is our astronomer royal, one of the jewels of this land. He got the Templeton Prize for Religion, although he will not tell anyone that he has a religion. That's kind of interesting. But what he does say, with his knowledge as an astronomer, is that the universe is too precise to be explained by chaos theory. There is an order, which means that it comes from an intellect. Once you start thinking about that, you can be a little bit reflective about who we are, because if the universe was created, then maybe as an evolved species on an insignificant planet, in an insignificant galaxy, maybe there might be something interesting about us, because we're different. We're the only species, as far as we know, who is hardwired to look for something outside ourselves, to do with a creator, to do with a God, to do with whatever, with which we must have a relationship. The earliest in England, we are on planet England, I think was 100,000 years ago. Neanderthal man had antlers with holes in, which were used as a headdress for rituals, 100,000 years ago. Of course, religion has evolved since then. And we are now. I'm very sad to say that I think religion is in a stage of involution, not evolution. What we see passing for religion is cultural bias, is political extremism, is egoistic tendencies, and it is an abomination. And that's one of the reasons why Sir Martin Rees will not declare that he has a religion, if he has one, because he said it's hubris. We obviously have been intended to be who we are at this time on planet Earth. If we haven't blown up the world, this Earth, or polluted it so all matter gets destroyed, we will get destroyed by the next ice age. So we're only an intermediate species anyway. But we need to look beyond. We need to have the intelligence in an evolved society to look back to our origins of what is the essence of religion. And that is the point at which all religions meet. I didn't, however, introduce Kristiane to my first religion, which was Roman Catholicism. I spoke Latin fluently and conversationally. I was half years of the Gospels in Latin. It wasn't enough. And Allah brought me to Islam. Islam is too much. I'm not complaining. I had to start all over again. But there is a wonder in Islam I will never lose. I want to just finish with a piece of the Quran, but only in translation, because I wouldn't attempt the Arabic, because you just heard how it should be said. This is a piece from Surah Fussilat. And it says, we will continue to show them our signs on the horizon. This universe, what is it? And the signs in your own soul. You're hardwired to try to find the answer. Until it becomes clear to them that I am truly real. That's all that matters. I love Islam, but I believe that those who truly read the Quran will understand and see there a great respect for all religions. This book cannot be used in any political conflict with another religion, another conflict, another country, or even with atheism. We have patience and love. We are the people of religion. All of us are the vectors of the love of our Creator. End of story. It's lovely to be here.
I love that Quran quote as well. It's so true. to introduce my co-publisher, Sharif, Hasan and Bana, who is the also chair of the Exploring Islam Foundation and CEO of Awakening Worldwide, great music label as well. So that's why obviously we have a lot of synergy. He contacted me first in, when was it, in 2006, a long time ago, about doing some engagement with the media and everything else. Finally, I'm so happy we're now my publisher and we're working together. Excuse me. Hasan, please.
Thank you, Kristiane. I was actually lost in reflecting over what Coxon was mentioning. I've lost my chain of thoughts. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, friends, Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you. I'd like to begin by sharing a narrative of a priest and a taxi driver in the hereafter. The priest is shown his place in hell, and the taxi driver is guided towards paradise. And as you would expect, the priest objects and he states, you know, all my life I've been preaching, calling people to good so that I can enter paradise. And as for this taxi driver, he's been running people crazy with his driving. The voice of the hereafter responds and states, that may be true, O priest, but whilst you were preaching, people were sleeping. Whilst the taxi driver was driving, people were praying for salvation. Preaching, talking is easy. Driving our course of affairs as human beings, as fellow citizens, as Muslims, is a daunting and challenging task. And not everybody can undertake that task. I consider Kristiane as one of those people who is attempting, striving to shape the course of our future direction. Kristiane is a proud Muslim, comfortable with her identity as a European citizen, as a European woman. I'm falling back and holding back and saying British because he's actually German. A proud German citizen or a European citizen, a proud Londoner. From MTV to MECCA, the book that we are co-publishing and discussing and launching, whatever term you like to use today, is the story of not of a radical who suddenly wakes up one day and comes around to common sense, but a spiritual journey of a woman who at the peak of her career at MTV decides to choose Islam as her faith, despite the challenges she knew she would face. It is a journey of a woman who is searching for the meaning of life, peace, and contentment. Islam faces many challenges, and one of these is the challenge of perception and image. And in addition to reclaiming the theological narrative and conversation, Muslims, and by default Islam, need better public relations. Islam needs articulate, intelligent, sane, authentic voices which share its worldview, its values to diverse audiences. The PR guru Max Clifford once commented that Islam needs role models. Islam needs good success stories to tackle its public perception. And I have no doubt that Kristiane is one of those icons who will help build bridges. I hope that through the publishing of her memoirs from MTV to MECCA, people of diverse audiences gain a better understanding of Islam, of spirituality, of pluralism in the 21st century, and is a bridge to bring people together. I mean, one of the unique traits of Kristiane, having known her for 5-7 years, is the number of people she gets to know and drag along with her, you know? I mean, where else would you find a former captain of the Pakistani cricket team, Imran Khan, and the great philosopher, living philosopher, Professor Saeed Hussain Nasser, and the Oxford academic Professor Tariq Ramadan, the music legend Bob Geldof, endorsing the same project, endorsing the same book. And that's none other than in MTV to MECCA. Thank you all again for attending. I'd like to thank everyone who helped in the publishing of this book, from Mr. Qureshi, Fern, Andy for his enthusiasm, passion, and unrelenting optimism. Thank you all, and thank you once again for attending.
It's really touching to hear you speak. Thank you very much, Hasan. Last but by no means least, Mr. Toaha Qureshi, MBE, Chairman of the Forum of International Relations Development, a UK-based think tank dedicated to peace building and searching for common ground between communities and religions. When we met together with his colleague Arif Anis, immediately they were excited, they wanted to promote the book, and they wanted to help me. They actually made it happen, helping us, pledging us their support. And including the promotion of through their networks of again my book. And once again, it was such a beautiful example of friendship and faith. And this friendship and faith, how other people extend themselves to help people who they don't even know, purely for the sake of God, for the love of God, has touched me ever since, and it still does. Thank you very much, Mr. Qureshi.
As a matter of fact, I only came back last night from Pakistan. I'm still tired and feeling well. But, this date was in my diary months back, so I had no choice but to come here. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and assalamu alaikum. Let me start with a very famous Quranic verse which I always quote. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ya ayyuhan nasu inna khalaqnakum min dhakarin wa unsa waja'alnakum shu'uban wa qabaila lita'arafu inna akramakum indallahi atqakum. The nearest translation to this verse is, O mankind, we have created you from a single pair of a male and a female, that is Adam and Eve. And we have made you into nations and tribes so that you may know one another, not that you despise one another. And in the sight of God Almighty, those who are the most righteous are the most honorable. That is the Quranic verse which always encourage me to engage with other faiths, have dialogue with them. And the projects which we started, Kristiane is sitting at the back somewhere, I think. Hello, Kristiane. She's there. Interfaith work, which we started as Stockwell Faith Forum, and Clapham Stockwell Faith Forum. Now she is running London-wide Bana Faith Network. And now the echo is going all the way to Pakistan as well. Very good project which we have started. Minority-majority experience living in the UK and the minorities living in Pakistan experience. So you can see how when the faith group work together, when the people who love their faith and religion, and they work together, what impact they have on various things. The dilemma I'm in is now everybody has spoken and all those things that I wanted to say have been said. But now my team has written this for me, so I've got no choice but just to read that, what is in front of me.
Bismillah.
Bismillah. I start with a story. A father was trying to read a newspaper, and his little child kept pestering him for things and kept disturbing him. He got fed up with it, and he says, he tears a piece of paper from the newspaper, gives it to him, he says, go and put it together. Tears it to pieces, gives it to him, says, right, go now. You'll have some time to do the work. After a while, he comes back. He says, Dad, I've done that. He says, oh well, this was a map of world. How did you put it together? Did your mom teach you geography? He said, what is that? I don't know what geography is. What I saw was a picture on the other side of a man. So I just followed that body face and put that picture together. So the lesson we take from here is that every individual holds the key to the peace and prosperity of the entire world. If we want to set the world right, we need to work on ourselves. It is, of course, a privilege to share that Kristiane has been one of those individuals who chose the spiritual kingdom over the kingdom of faith. And that may be summed up in words of Robert Frost's legendary poem, The Road Not Taken. It says, I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages, and two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made the difference. For Kristiane, her decision to convert made all the difference, and her decision to share her story is going to touch hundreds and thousands of lives and make a big difference in their lives. So for those who are going to buy from MTV to MECCA, there is another story. When I gave this book to someone to read, he says, from MTV to MECCA. MTV was a TV channel. MECCA is a bingo. What is the difference? So I said, well, this is just written MECCA. This is not a journey from a TV channel to a bingo. It is actually Mecca in Saudi Arabia. So, from MTV to MECCA, to read it, I must warn you that it might change your life as well. As David Anderson, Sharif Hasan, and Hayward, and Dr. Coxon, and Kristiane herself have shed enough light on her journey including Pakistan, we have no war pact between India and Pakistan, and our recent conference, the future of Pakistan, in June 2012. In a meeting, I could recall when Kristiane talked about the plan about hundreds and thousands of converts and Islam, but less is mentioned about what they go through during and after this blissful journey. There was a lot of thought when she mentioned that the Muslim world treats Muslims as trophies. It is a moment to ponder over that. At a time when Islam is claimed as the fastest growing religion in the Western world, why don't we have enough centers and highly educated sheikhs and imams to educate and mentor these international networks? Not only that, lonely Christmas and other and the latter with all sorts of challenges from Mecca to MTV will make a bigger time and a long queue to buy it. She once again took up the road less traveled on. I believe that from MTV to Mecca would be a great inspiration not only in the UK but throughout the Muslim world. I also hope it would transcend the boundaries of religions and cultures, and all those who are searching in their soul for the most important questions posed by an enigma called life. It is of course a pleasure to know that from MTV to MECCA has been produced in German, Dutch and English by now, with Arabic, Malaysian and Indonesian editions forthcoming, and we will fully support the endeavor to bring out in Urdu and Hindi as well. It's so close to mission and vision of the origin that we share the most philosopher who said most dream, but they have no power to hearts of men. I'm glad to share that Kristiane and us are partners in pursuit of realizing vision today. I can call that Kristiane said that's possible. So I offered her a very straightforward blank check, I think. I said, you said you want to do, I'll get enough. After 1 year, Kristiane said the same thing. So I said that last year. And they said, will you give me that? So, dear friends, yes, of course I'm that. And now we can see the book in front of us. Well done, all the way.
Thank you, Mr. Qureshi. That's really good for a change. I was quoting Uwe Sharp. That's very sweet. And up next is our Alderman of Kensington and Chelsea, a great supporter of the project. And
I think my duty is just to thank, but I will let you know another, because I always believe that the people who are sitting there are more important than the people sitting there. Because you are the people who are going to spread the message out there, not we are very limited people. So I'm going to say something and then I'll come to. I think that's very good use to face we all people who are on this side. I think I totally agree with you. Another thing, I think poor people in the book in this side are more generous, they are more welcoming. And I'm one of those poor people. I still believe that I think the poor people have a bigger heart than rich people. So let's agree with that. And I'm really thankful to the speakers, who have spoken, Imam, who happened to be Imam. We are both I'm very thankful for you coming out and for us. I think one thing I'm very pleased that the mayor of High Wycombe is here kindly, and I know there are some people who have traveled very long way from North. Dr. Shahbazral and her son is here, and I was very pleased, Doctor, to hear you, because the doctors are the people who know what we mean when we say something in her. I think two things, and then I will invite you to ask questions or comments, and then we will conclude. We are hoping to conclude at 8 o'clock, but I will go 10 to 15 minutes over, so don't worry, we have some time. I think Pakistan and Islam both are mentioned quite a lot. And I think both are passing through a challenging time of history, at least. And a book like this, and the people like Kristiane and others who have spoken, are needed to spread out the word that there are 1.7 billion Muslims on this earth, and you can't ignore them, or you can't kill them all, or you can't suppress them all. I think that is first message. And there are 200 million Pakistanis living on this earth. And very different kinds of I invite you, and I will ask all speakers to just conclude the meeting. But can I, first of all, invite Mayor of High Wycombe to say a few words and more comment on the book. And can I also tell you, as I have heard, that the book cannot be sold in this building. And gentleman is sitting behind it. Kristiane will be sitting there to sign it. Although I have been asked by the authorities, what are you going to do, why the books are there. But I think you can walk through and just throw tenor and pick up the book and get it signature. So ask a question or anything you want to ask. Thank you very much.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, Mr. Chairman and distinguished colleagues. Well, when you're in public life, of course, you can never get away with not having to say something or another when you attend meetings of this nature. But most of the times, it is done as part of your duty, as part of your public service, that you have to make a contribution. But on an occasion like this, I have to say that it is an enormous pleasure. It's an enormous pleasure and delight to have been able to be invited to this wonderful occasion, this auspicious occasion, to all the organizers, the fair, and other colleagues, publishers, who have got our first initially and a successful conclusion to publishing in English. So an enormous congratulations to all of these. And I came across Kristiane, I think, a couple of years ago, roughly around a couple of years ago. I mean, that's telecommunicationally rather than physically. But there was something I observed over the television, I think a program I saw in which she was making a contribution on a discussion on Islam. And so I looked at for years, this has been made. I don't think it's nearly 1,000 years old, it's a long line history of marriage. And High Wycombe is a town with about 25,000 to 30,000 Muslims, and was struck with a tragedy in 2006, the so-called liquid bomb plot that you might remember, in alongside with London and Birmingham, where some arrests were made. And that has really turned the High Wycombe society upside down. It was an enormous shock to our system. But we shown, I think, that we led the way in history and indeed setting an example, maybe further beyond other shores of this country, in how community in crisis faced with interfaith relations which were on the verge of breaking down, and that could have really turned quite nasty. But with the help of some colleagues from the Christian community and from the Muslim community, who came out together and started to think collectively and try and work our way forward. As a result of which, I would but also in fact, into showing how to live in harmony, irrespective of your religion or background. Now, one of the other things that we said.
Waiting for the question.
The question to you, Kristiane, is this. It's really quite simple, but I think it's a question which will give me immediate inspiration to learn how. I mean, if I was asked, for example, to become a Christian or a Jew or Hindu or a Sikh, and take out and this very experience, that I find enormously daunting. I'm going to say an enormous courage that it requires. Now, you've shown all that courage and qualities. How did you manage that?
Thank you. How do I know that this is the answer, with the grace of Allah, the help of Allah. Had I known any of these challenges and things that I've done, I know it's really important and it all happens, and it's the faith that pulls you through. Over to the Imam.
What to say? Very short comment, because I'm not speaking English fluently, but I will say something today. In the very early morning, we pray Fajr prayer, which is dual prayer, which is before sunrise. It's very early, actually. And it was about 5 a.m. And I was praying to Allah, what I'm going to do today. Is it something good or bad? I'm joining so I asked whether I'm doing something wrong or bad. I'm going to gain reward or will be punished. So I started to read the book, The Gift from Kristiane. And believe it or not, I couldn't just start few chapters until I finished reading it completely. 3 hours. I spent 3 hours. I could, because it's very attractive. I read something, which is angels behind it. Because she's speaking naturally, she's speaking with a huge amount of emotions. You will feel it once you read this book. I'm not selling the book.
Hi, I'm Dr. Suresh from MTV surgeon. I have a small project, TWS. I think it's wonderful. But take 5 seconds. That's our question. What's keeping you on this path?
It's Allah again. It's Allah. It's the what I gain from this inner peace, that fulfillment. You also ask how do you manage. Really, sometimes it's very difficult with prayers. Sometimes crying on my prayer mat. I tell you, if it wasn't for my faith, I don't know how I would have managed life sometimes. This is what I wonder. How do people manage without faith? Seriously, I don't think the capacity gives me or something. We have our faith. It's that source of strength that gives you hope, that keeps you there.
So that's faith. The second question is about the book. If you want to pick up one controversy in the book, one controversy which can raise some controversy in that topic, what topic that would be? Because I want to read the book. I want to read it.
I don't think you should tell the controversy.
Thank you very much. Stand up and speak. I think.
Kristiane, I think you're a perfect role model to promote Islam and dispel any negativity that people have preconceived ideas of Islam. Since your conversion, do you think Muslims recognize and respect your commitment to your new faith and lifestyle as a credible result?
And thank you for the question. I would say the vast majority of Muslims, have embraced me, have welcomed me, with warmth, generosity, like I was teaching you. Like I was saying, that friendship and faith, reaching out amazingly. Then on the other hand, and also with enormous amount of respect. When I was in teaching, as I was saying, there's no possibility of respect. Yes, of course, there are the odd exceptions. People who think that she's a Western woman, so we can try it on. Perhaps certain Muslims are saying easy game, but they soon realize, it says from babe to burqa. It's like I may not wear a burqa. This is what Bob Geldof said. I may not wear a burqa, but perhaps I act like I would. I always say I wear my veil over my heart. So there you are.
Any other?
Okay. I had an event and her daughter converted to Islam. And her mother, who was my friend, we known each other for many years. And she knew that I was Muslim. But when her daughter became Muslim, she came back to me and said, Yasmin, you know, you say you're Muslim, but my daughter is a different type of Muslim, you know. She's saying 5 times a day, she says that, you know, I believe that when one Muslim who has been through the journey spiritually and has become a Muslim, then a Muslim, and I must admit that I haven't got that much knowledge, but I was born as a Muslim girl. So the difference between a Muslim girl born in a Muslim family hasn't been through that spiritual journey, the one that you have been. And I think got to learn from you.
Thank you very much.
Because sometimes when I hear, I mean, I have other friends who become Muslims, and I have learned from them about it, because they have actually gone into the depth of the religion and become a Muslim.
Thank you, Hasan. I think the young lady, say your name first.
I just want to ask Kristiane a question.
Could you be brief now, because we are trying to...
You went through the spiritual journey, but yet you're not obviously for yourself, and why is that?
No, it's something I thought about a lot, and you know, it always comes up, you know, especially men on Facebook that tell me, why don't you know, this is another answer perhaps to also what you were saying. No, you know, everyone has to figure this out for themselves. It would take too long, but basically I go after Muhammad Asad's interpretation of the relevant verses in the Quran, which, you know, and it makes sense to me, where everybody wears it, where it's a sign of modesty, and, you know, then I also wear it. But here, you don't wear it. I've heard this sort of look where I do, you know, just wear first, if I take that burden on, it would be very difficult with my family, etc. So I don't feel up for it, but I certainly wear it where everybody else wears it, and, you know, for my prayers. And I wear it in front of my heart.
Thank you very much, everybody. Can I just announce that next week on 11th of September, exactly on 9/11, we are having a meeting on 9/11 here. And speaking in Marxist point of view, Muslim point of view, and another debate and discussion, more questions than are usually asked. I hope that this book will become what Tariq Hasan ends his comments here, that this book is not only a bridge in between Western societies and Islam, but it is also reconciliation. Let's hope that this book serves that purpose. Thank you very much.
I find enormously daunting. I'm going to say an enormous courage that it requires. Now, you've shown all that courage and qualities. How did you manage that?
Thank you. How do I know that this is the answer, with the grace of Allah, the help of Allah. Had I known any of these challenges and things that I've done, I know it's really important and all happens, and it's the faith that pulls you through. Over to the Imam.
Want to say very short comment, because I'm not speaking English fluently, but I will say something today. In the very early morning, we pray Fajr prayer, which is Duhur prayer, which is before sunrise. It's very early actually. And it was about 5 a.m. And I was praying to Allah, what I'm going to do today. Is it something good or bad? I'm joining so I asked whether I'm doing something wrong or bad. I'm going to gain reward or will be punished. So I started to read the book, The Gift from Kristiane. And believe it or not, I couldn't just start few chapters until I finished reading it completely. 3 hours. I spent 3 hours. I could, because it's very attractive. I read something which is angels behind it. Because she's speaking naturally. She's speaking with a huge amount of emotions. You will feel it once you read this book. I'm not selling a book.
Hi, I'm Dr. Sharif from being surgeon. I have a small project of TWS on I think it's wonderful. But you take 5 seconds. That's our question. What's keeping you on this path?
It's Allah again. It's Allah. It's the, what I gain from this inner peace, that fulfillment. You also ask how do you manage. Really, sometimes it's very difficult with prayers. sometimes crying on my prayer mat, you know. I tell you, if it wasn't for my faith, I don't know how I would have managed life sometimes. This is what I wonder, how do people manage without faith? You know, seriously, I don't think the best thing is or something. You know, we have our faith, it's that source of strength that gives you hope, that keeps you there, you know.
So that's your faith. The second question is about the book. If you want to pick up one controversy in the book, one controversy which can raise some controversy in that topic, some topic, what topic that would be? Because I want to read the book. I want to read it.
I don't think you should tell the controversy. You find out.
Thank you very much. Stand up and speak, I think.
Kristiane, I think you're a perfect role model to promote Islam and dispel any negativity that people have preconceived ideas of Islam. Since your conversion, do you think Muslims recognize and respect your commitment to your new faith, your lifestyle, as a credible result?
And thank you for the question. You know, I would say the vast majority of Muslims, you know, have embraced me, have welcomed me, you know, with warmth, generosity, like I was teaching you. Like I was saying, that friendship and faith, you know, reaching out amazingly. You know, then on the other hand, and also with enormous amount of respect. You know, when I was in teaching, as I was saying, there was no possibility of respect. Yes, of course, there are the odd exceptions. People who think that she's a Western woman, so you know we can try it on. Perhaps certain Muslims are saying easy game, but they soon realize, you know, it says from veil to burqa. It's like I may not wear a burqa. This is what Bob Geldof said. I may not wear a burqa, but perhaps I act like I would. You know, I always say I wear my veil over my heart. So there you are.
Any other?
Okay. I had an event and her daughter converted to Islam. And her mother was my friend. We known each other for many years. And she knew that I was Muslim. But when her daughter became Muslim, she came back to me and said, Yasmin, you know, you say you're Muslim, but my daughter is a different type of Muslim, you know. She's praying 5 times a day, she says that, you know, I believe that when one Muslim who has been through the journey spiritually and has become a Muslim, then a Muslim, and I must admit that I haven't got that much knowledge, but I was born as a Muslim girl. So the difference between a Muslim girl born in a Muslim family hasn't been through that spiritual journey, the one that you have been. And I think got to learn from you.
Thank you very much.
Because sometimes when I hear, I have other friends who become Muslims, and I have learned from them about it, because they have actually gone into the depth of the religion and become a Muslim.
Thank you, Hasan. I think the young lady, say your name first.
I just want to ask Kristiane a question.
Could you be brief now, because we are trying to end into
you went through the spiritual journey, but yet you're not obviously the path, and why is that?
No, it's something I thought about a lot, and you know, still it always comes up, you know, especially men on Facebook that tell me, why don't you think this is another answer perhaps to also what I was saying. No, you know, everyone has to figure this out for themselves. It would take too long, but basically I go after Muhammad Hasan's interpretation of the relevant verses in the Quran, which, you know, and it makes sense to me, where everybody wears it, where it's a sign of modesty, and, you know, then I also wear it. But here, you don't wear it. I've heard this look where I do, you know, just wear first, if I now take that burden on, it would be very difficult with my family, etc. So I don't feel up for it, but I certainly wear it where everybody else wears it, and, you know, for my prayers. And I wear it in front of my heart.
Thank you very much, everybody. Can I just announce that next week on 11th of September, exactly on 9/11, we are having a meeting on 9/11 here. And speaking in Marxist point of view, Muslim point of view, and another debate and discussion, more questions than are usually asked. I hope that this book will become what Tariq Hasan ends his comments here, that this book is not only a bridge in between Western societies and Islam, but it is also reconciliation. Let's hope that this book serves that purpose. Thank you very much. All right,